new project alert.
So this build is going to be awesome. We've been wanting to do something off-road shifter for a really long time now. This is a Manco Deuce go-kart. It has a semi-independent rear suspension and a kind of J-arm front suspension, a lot like the Odyssey we worked with. And we're going to make a crawler that can also hopefully go close to like 60, 70 miles an hour. The way we're going to do that is we're going to stuff a Kawasaki Ninja 250 motor into it. I hope you guys like the video where we got this thing running, but we're definitely not keeping this bike as is because it's a real hoopty right now. So what are we doing in this video, Jason?
Yeah, so in this video we're going to be doing a lot of rear suspension stuff. We're hoping to get around like maybe 10 inches of flex, lift it a little bit, put much softer springs so it moves a lot more. It'll be a lot of fun.
Let's get started.
Let's get into it, boys.
Alright, so this is a Manco Deuce we bought for $200. And we pretty much know exactly how we're gonna go with the suspension on this thing. Redbeard actually helped us out a lot. You should definitely check out his yellow Deuce build. That thing is awesome. That's kind of the inspiration of why we wanted to do one of these, because we really like this rear suspension. So the idea is there's only one heim joint at the very center of this whole back section here. And what it can do is it can move in any direction because it's only one joint. This panhard bar keeps it from moving, basically from twisting in a direction you wouldn't want it to move. So it can still flex left and right, kind of like a solid axle on like a Jeep or something. These are actually automotive spring assisted shocks. Bought these from Summit Racing. We've actually never used these before, but it really seems like a better alternative to go-kart shocks because a lot of go-kart shocks don't really give you as much travel as we'd want out of this thing because the name of the game of this thing is going to be a crawler. So what we're gonna do first is it looks like we might actually be able to bolt these up and get the stock shocks out of here, and we'll be able to see how strong these springs are if we're gonna be able to support the weight or not.
This is the stock suspension setup. It's pretty good. It's more flexy than our other off-road karts we've had, but it's still, we don't really get that much flex, and if you can see, the shock goes into this little sleeve, but we still only have like 6 inches of travel right there. So when we put these things on, it should flex a lot easier, be a lot smoother, and we'll have tons more room to move.
So as a baseline, we're gonna do a stock suspension travel test.
All right, we're lifting the back wheel.
All right, so. That sucks. I'm sure, we didn't actually get to measure it, but I guess we can measure the jack height. That's about 10 inches. That's also a healthy estimate too. It's probably less than that, but we'll call it 10. All right, let's move off that panhard bar.
Good.
See that? That's like it changes your toe in and out when you're driving and stuff. Dude, we should take the springs out and just see our like maximum flex too. Oh yeah, like. Let's get that side by side. Yep.
Might be a slight difference.
Yep. How squishy are these bad boys?
Not.
Really? It's a, like...
It's not that big of a difference.
Yeah, just this is like... These aren't super hard though. If we do have issues with how much these compress, we could also move them in too. So the radius of travel is a little bit longer. And it'll be more force on the spring. I think we should go for that monster truck look, honestly.
All right, and there goes the other shock.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do now is we just wanna try to figure out how much the stock heim joint is limited. So basically, let's just see. Holy cow.
That's plenty.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically there's no limitation in the heim joint. If we want stupid amount of flex, we can get it.
Let's see, does she fit? Oh no, we need even more.
Oh yeah. Okay, well I think on the tighter side might be okay.
Yeah.
At least okay, so we're thinking this is a little too high. Unless it goes down a lot, we're probably gonna end up moving it closer in and welding in a hoop. So it looks a little more pre-runnery too, but let's just take a seat. See?
Yeah, it like didn't move.
Okay.
Let me jump on it, I wanna see if it... Oh, that's better flex though, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, look how much we still have. Like,
front tire just came off the ground.
so, yeah, so back limits no flex at all. Sweet.
The problem is see, you can see how twisted it is. But like, so there's no panhard bar obviously, so we're gonna lose some flex, but like for a go-kart, that's pretty crazy. I also feel like we're limited by how much it can travel out because our ride height isn't really secured yet.
Yeah.
But hey, that's how. Look at how it's twisted.
So we do 4-wheel steering.
Yeah, bro. Just finished welding on these little round bars that hold the bottom shocks on. What we realized is that we only got like 2 inches of downward flex when you sit in it. We want closer to 4 or 5. So what we did was we moved the pivot point on the shock closer to the radius or axis of rotation. So basically we got these done. Now we can re-bolt up the subframe and start working on the top hoops for our shocks.
We have a little visitor. I guess he's just having a blast with our fan here.
I think it's sick, huh?
Whoa. Look at the livery on that thing, red. Speed.
Yeah, well right now what we're doing is we're actually ditching the idea of the hoops because what has to happen is our shocks are gonna mount basically right about here. So instead of just like being super redundant and like cutting this out and making a hoop just for like looks, we're just gonna, I made up this little bracket here and I'm gonna weld it to the bottom of this, drill a hole, and our bushing and stuff will fit perfectly. It's not a waste, so we'll be able to use the hoops on the front suspension, but for this video and the rear suspension, we're just gonna stick to these. So our brackets are just tacked in for now, just so with any kind of suspension components, you kind of want to just tack everything first and make sure it doesn't bind or like you have enough travel or it's not too. We're worried that because we angled the springs and we moved our pivot point closer, I think it's going to be a lot springier, hopefully not too much. Let's find out. Unfortunately, well, it's kind of good because we found the other extreme, but this is just a little too springy. I mean, it looks sick, and I'm sure it'll have tons of flex, but like even sitting in it kind of just takes it down a little bit. It's just on, because we need to like have it on the stiffer side just for ride quality, because there's no doubt we'll be able to flex it out and stuff. Okay, so now it's time to work on our panhard bar, or trailing, or whatever you want to call it. Essentially what it does is, so we don't have like a bunch of wiggle left and right. It's just a bar that you weld in with hind joints on the end, and it goes up and down with your suspension. The only problem with this kind of setup is that when it does go up and down, your suspension is ever so slightly going to turn to the driver's side if you make it like this. What we do now is we have our top mount done. We'll drill a hole in that, and then we need to figure out how we want to make a connection up to our bottom mount. It's actually part of the cut off original CJ bumper that someone just made out of construction angle iron. Super thick stuff though. It's going to be good for our panhard bar.
I don't know if that worked as we intended.
Yeah, it came off. Our bar is in. All our suspension is pretty much all tightened up and ready to go. The tires aren't really even. We haven't gotten the Go Power Sports one yet, so. But as you can see, we got a lot of play in this. It's really cool, and it's also, the shocks are really heavy, so like, I don't think it's gonna bounce around too much. Like, there's a lot of absorption. I think it's gonna take a while for it to come back to normal. All right, so we're maxed out on flex, or nearly. We could have more, but the panhard bar is actually touching its old mount. So that could probably give us, degrees wise, that could definitely give us a couple more inches.
That's a foot of flex in the back.
For a go-kart, guys, like if you scaled this up to be like a CJ, that'd be insane.
And the front wheel's lifted, but when someone's in the seat.
Yeah, here, I'll show y'all right now. Like, all it needs is just a little bit of weight.
Yeah.
And she's still
okay.
stuffing. Almost fell off our jack.
So even though we got 12 inches of flex out of the back so far, the front still has no give with the shocks it has on it right now. So once we do the suspension in the front, we should get a little bit more.
Okay, so we're doing a flex test on the other side. Since the panhard bar on this side has more downward travel. It's pretty crazy. We maxed out the jack.
Yeah, and this tire's flat. I'm telling, and this is basically like if your front suspension's a block of wood is what we're dealing with here. So this is crazy. I mean, I'm just excited for when we're like at the trails we take the Jeeps on, and we could like, I mean, having like a rock here and still having our front wheels on the ground. The plan is though, we're gonna make hoops for the front and then have the same exact shocks for the front. So this thing is going to be decked out. We're gonna get some big old tires from Go Power Sports. Stay tuned for this build for sure. But anyways, guys, I think we're gonna wrap up the video here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Go Power Sports. They're gonna totally soup up this build. So stay tuned for this thing getting a Ninja 250 shifter engine and new tires, new everything. We actually plan to do aluminum panels here, light bar, aluminum roof, maybe even doors. It's gonna be a huge build. See you next time.